The news day continues here on One News Now. I'm Diego Castro, bringing you the biggest headlines from around the world. Ukrainian military officials report retaking another village from Russian forces, bringing the total to 7 in the past week. An official from the Defense Ministry said that Ukraine's flag once again flew over the southeastern village of Storozhov. Moscow has yet to confirm the Russian retreat from the villages, but some military bloggers have acknowledged the loss of control over them. The liberation of the village is among the first small successes in Ukraine's stepped-up counter-offensive operations against more than 15 months of Moscow's invasion. A day earlier, Ukrainian officials also reported 3 other small villages clustered together had been liberated.
8-го окремого протиморської піхоти 35-ї бригади звільнив населений пункт Староживе. Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава морській піхоті!
Слава, слава, слава!
The U.S. meanwhile says it is too soon to say exactly where Ukraine's counter-offensive was going. However, Washington expressed confidence in Kyiv's efforts to take back land seized by Russia. The U.S. also said it would continue to maximize its support for Ukraine.
Our enduring support is critical. Support for Ukraine so that it can build up over time a strong deterrent and defense capacity for its military, so that in the future, if Russia tries to pursue another aggression, it has the chance to deter that and if necessarily effectively defend against it, but also to support its economy, to support its integration with the European Union.
Former U.S. President Donald Trump has arrived in Miami to face criminal charges. These are cases over his alleged unlawful keeping of security documents and lying to officials who tried to recover them. Trump is scheduled to be in a federal courthouse on Tuesday at 3 p.m. U.S. time for an initial appearance in the case. The former president has proclaimed his innocence and vowed to continue his campaign to regain the presidency in 2024.
He will be formally taken into custody and then he'll appear before a federal magistrate judge. We're not entirely sure how the surrender process is going to work because this is unprecedented. We've never had a former president appear in federal court before, and so we're not really sure how this is all going to go down. You know, we know that generally federal defendants will be fingerprinted, they will have their mugshots taken before they appear in court.
Chinese media reports that China deployed a reconnaissance aircraft over Pacific waters east of Taiwan last week. The aircraft supposedly monitored and gathered intelligence on an exercise involving the navies of the United States, Japan, France, and Canada. Citing analysts, China's state-backed Global Times newspaper reports that a Y-9 cargo plane variant geared with intelligence-gathering equipment most likely monitored and collected intelligence on the exercise. Global Times also cited a Beijing-based think tank in saying that 2 U.S. aircraft carriers had been operating around the geopolitically important Ryukyu Islands in the Philippine Sea since Thursday. The islands separate the East China Sea from the Philippine Sea and dot the West Pacific between Japan and Taiwan, which China claims as its territory. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now World. I'm Diego Castro. Over in the U.S., human remains were recovered from the fallen overpass on Interstate 95 in Philadelphia. The body was discovered after crews removed concrete debris from the site of a fiery highway collapse that closed a stretch of one of the busiest traffic corridors along the U.S. East Coast. The section of I-95 was shut down in both directions after a tanker truck hauling gasoline caught fire on Sunday, causing the concrete to buckle and collapse. Authorities have not said precisely how the fuel was ignited. The body recovered from the wreckage has been turned over to the Philadelphia County Medical Examiner for identification. 3 British nationals died in a fire on a boat in Egypt's Red Sea on Sunday. The 3 tourists were on scuba diving holiday but had chosen not to dive that day. 12 other people and 14 crew members were rescued from the ship. Egyptian authorities said the fire was caused by an electrical short circuit. The boat was near the southeastern Egyptian town of Marsa Alam when the fire started. Britain's Foreign Office vowed to provide support for the nationals involved. Over the last 3 years, Portugal's cheap real estate tax advantages and relaxed lifestyle enticed thousands of Americans to move to the coastal state. However, the honeymoon seems to be over now as Americans realize that life in Portugal is no longer as rosy as they pictured. More in this report by Bloomberg.
Thousands of Americans moved to Portugal in the last 3 years, lured by the coastal nation's cheap real estate, tax advantages, and relaxed lifestyle. But now, the honeymoon period is over. For years, Portugal has been trying to attract foreign residents as part of an effort to bring more investment into the country. A decade ago, it introduced its Residency by Investment Golden Visa program. And in 2022, it launched a digital nomad visa for remote workers. The strategy worked. The number of foreign residents in Portugal rose 40% in the past decade to an all-time high of more than 555,000. And the number of Americans more than tripled to almost 10,000 between 2018 and 2022. But the trend seems to be reversing. It took Carrie Lane 2 months to move back to the US when her plans to retire in Portugal disappointed. The 58-year-old from Duluth, Minnesota, encountered challenges finding permanent housing and proper care for her chronic eye condition.
I'm homeless, I don't know what to do, my eye's acting up, and I have this condition that if I don't take care of it, I could be blind in that eye. The doctor didn't take it seriously in Portugal, and so I went home.
Carrie is not alone. Get Golden Visa, an international advisory firm, saw a 37% decrease in American inquiries for its Portugal programs in the first quarter of the year compared to the same period last year. Many expats were put off by bureaucratic challenges, limited public transit, and rising housing costs fueled by the influx of new residents. Home prices jumped almost 19% in 2022 from the previous year, the largest annual gain since 1991. To tackle the housing problem, Portugal's government ended its Golden Visa scheme in February. But that's not to say moving hasn't worked out for all new residents. Experts say the digital nomad visa continues to be popular.
And those are the top world headlines of the hour. Join us again at 9 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. Coming right up is Agenda at 8 a.m. I'm Diego Castro. We are One News, all sides, all the time.